that was one of the concerns was the fact that one of the concerns was the fact that everything's public. But we can go over it so they were worried about all the students being able to check each other, which was kind of a concern. But we can go over that when we go over to the disadvantages.
Okay.
I guess the other advantage is the fact that it's free. I guess that's a huge because
that's very important. That's very important for many because a lot of these systems they might be. I know a lot of the systems in in the internet, they ask for a monthly payment, which means, if it's, anyway, it means that you have to keep up with that and all that. And it has costs that will run for years. I like the fact that you can organize the awards very quickly and the kids see the awards. They see that the stickers they're getting, and you don't have to have something that you really have on your desk that you have to give each child a sticker or whatever. It's just inside, and they can manage their stickers inside their computer so they can see how they're doing. They have all their little awards lined up. And then, of course, at the end, they do have to have something tangible in their hands. But is it possible to back this up? Other than having it on a few different machines.
That was one of my problems. Once I start recording, I can't edit it either. So this is live.
Oh, you're talking about the video that we're doing.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Dojo.
No, I don't know.
Were you able to back it up on another system? I wasn't able to find information on that.
No. But I'm sure if you had it on multiple, if you had it on your phone and your computer, you'd have it on multiple systems.
We didn't mention the fact about taking attendance and all that. It seems very easy, but did you notice, are you able to move around the emojis to put them in a certain classroom order so you know where the kids are sitting?
No, because the only thing I did was set up one student. So I didn't really get that far. But that's an advantage, but also I looked at it as, well, we already have our classroom. We already have a classroom app that I have to do on attendance every day, so it's not that's just adding another step. So for our needs, it wouldn't be that beneficial.
I heard that 80% of the teachers in America are using this.
Yeah, I'm wondering how accurate that stat is, because I didn't talk to anybody in my school that has been using it.
Right. Okay, because do you know of anybody who uses it at all?
No, because and I guess that's kind of one of our concerns is, what's the motivation to use it? Because a lot of people, they worry about over communicating with parents and giving parents too much, because then it's your classroom, and sometimes it's best just to send an email or to talk to, we talk to parents after school. We are very open about if you want to schedule a meeting, you can do that. So there's a lot of other avenues, and it comes back to the question of how much do you replace personal interaction with social media sites?
Right. Would you think there would be an option? We didn't go that far in searching this and trying it out, but you think there would be an option to only send a message to a parent when it's really important for them, and they get a bleep or something on their screen and they're able to see it, and then they have one certain section where the parents could always go in on their own and look and see what's happening?
Yeah, that's a good point, because maybe if Jimmy's having a hard day and you just need to send the parent a note, and almost as a text message on your phone.
Correct.
It might be more valuable. Yeah. But I didn't get that far into it.
Okay.
Are you ready to go over some of the concerns here?
Yes, I am. Okay. My concern is with all these internet gadgets is that the teacher gets too stuck on her computer and he or she is carrying it around. It sort of gets them stuck to the front, or they have to walk around with their computer or their iPad
or their phone.
Right, and I don't like the fact that every time a child gives a proper answer. I know when I was reading into the other the teacher kit. You're basically recording everything. You know, they're telling you record every single little answer that the kid gives, if it's right or wrong, or if they had to be prompted, and all that. And if you're sitting asking questions, and every time someone answers, you click a button in your computer, wouldn't that make kids nervous? You know, they're wondering what you're clicking, if it was right or wrong.
Also, the fact that even though it doesn't take much time to put a note in your phone, it's still like every time you look at your phone, you don't have your eyes on the classroom.
That's it. So it shows your withedness, maybe.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quickly a child can notice and start.
Yeah, they notice everything much more than we do.
I mean, so it's meant to be very quick and very applicable, but until you test it out, I think I think it might be a distraction from your overall classroom.
Correct.
One of the big concerns was the privacy and displaying the points to the whole class. So like what they were saying is like the whole class can see how every student is doing, and so it becomes like a reward system or a game, and so now the kids are competing where I don't really think that was what it was meant for. It was meant just.
That's right. And it's okay if you're a really, really good student and everything comes fast, but if you're slower, other kids, it gives them a chance to make fun of your work.
Well, yeah, not even that, but it's just, I think a student can get discouraged if they're constantly in the middle or below. And I could definitely see some students that would just constantly be at the top every week, and that would just be discouraging.
Right.
So I guess the motivation is kind of wrong, where it's meant to correct behavior, not as a point system.
Right. Unless you only use it for certain projects that the kids were doing, and you're not using it for everything, obviously. If you're using it for certain models and projects where you're taking pictures and you're sharing it with the class and with the parents. I mean, even if the parents are involved, I don't think the parents should always know what other kids are doing. Because you can sort of analyze the friends of your child, and maybe you're moving into the psychology of the relationship between your child and another, and that's not always positive.
Yeah, so I guess they say the public nature of the class judge is kind of inappropriate. I mean, because then if Sydney's struggling and she's always at the bottom, like all the parents know that and have a negative connotation towards her.
Yeah.
So I guess
yes.
I see that as being a clear problem.
Mm-hmm.
Another concern is it pits adults and children kind of against each other. So where this teacher and the adults are working together, and like the children know, like there's sometimes in our classroom where we tell students, this is not, we're not going to tell your parents this, but we want you to make sure you understand, and if this behavior happens again, we're going to have to tell your parents. But we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt to do the right thing and to correct your error.
So that's actually helping the children grow up faster and take on responsibility.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Oh, also, another concern was the public ranking system doesn't foster community.
What do you mean?
The public ranking system doesn't foster community. So, it's hard when the kids are competing against each other. I guess they're saying that it's hard to have now they're competing against each other, the community might be affected by it.
Right. That's true. From a technical point of view, I found that you don't have full access from the iPhone. And I tend to do a lot of my work on iPhone, because it's just easier to carry around and stick in your pocket. And if you're on the bus going home or something, you can still be working. So you finish that off before you get home and have a break. And the iPhone you can carry around to other teachers in case you wanted to discuss something. are the teachers are able to send this stuff around to each other? For example, if the child has two different teachers, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I don't know if they cross, so that would be really hard if it's in. I'm sure that it does, but that would be hard if if you have 100 students because you're teaching 4 different classes. I'm guessing that this is more based for elementary, but I'm not sure. Also, the other concern that I have is it's just a huge commitment for a teacher, and like we're constantly being, our testing standards are ridiculous, and how much time we have to do and put into that. It's just, it keeps.
You're breaking up a little bit. I can't hear you that well. You're hearing every second word. Just speak a little slower.
As you pile on more and more activities, you're just building more and more stuff, responsibilities for the teachers. So, yeah, it's just another commitment for the teacher.
Yeah. It's bureaucracy, isn't it?
Yeah. So, like, the teacher has to determine, well, what's the most important thing that I should be doing.
Right. Another negative thing I find about this is I don't really think it's a system that could work for children who have ADHD or some kind of an autism. If you have a problem with children with learning difficulties, it's not giving them time. Like you said, it's putting them under a lot of pressure to compete and learn, but they're not being, they're being actually singled out by this.
Yeah, right? I agree with you. Our 4th grade child with autism, he would really have a hard time with this because he wants to do well, and then when even like in basic reading activities, when people finish before him, he gets really upset. So like he just would not be able to comprehend this system, and
wow,
he would be really. It could really upset him if he wasn't at the top of the class, and so yeah. Right. It's also the last concern I had was it's an overload of information for the parents.
Yes. I know how that is with my daughter. There was one teacher who would send us everything, and it was driving me nuts. Because for parents who are working, if you're not working, it's okay. But if for parents who are working, and for parents who have old parents, or whatever, if the ones that have a heavy load, and you get that on top, it's a problem. So it should be only the most important things should be sent to certain parents, I think, unless the parents want it. So that's actually one more stress for the teacher. Instead of pushing one button with information to everybody, they have to single out and start treating each parent as an individual, as much as they're doing it with the child in the classroom. It's really too much information is too much information.
Okay, so, I think we did a nice job covering Class Dojo.
I think
Do you want to just go over some of the other apps?
Can we go to Stop and Go? We both did that one. I did Stop and Go as well.
Great.
So I noticed it's basically a street lamp, and it goes from 3, 2, 1. It goes from red to yellow or green, or you can set it up to go from green to yellow to red. So where you start or where you stop and all this, and there's a timer on it, and you have a digital view of what the time is, which would not really help children get a feeling for time, except with lights and whatever. They don't get a feeling of, like when you have a manual clock, when you see the hands moving, you get a feeling for time, and all this digital stuff for me is not really great. For some kids it's fine, but if you have a bit of a math problem or I get for every kid, you don't really get a feeling for time if you're just seeing numbers moving. And it also has a bell, and when you hear a bell going off, it makes you maybe nervous, because there's a bell that goes off when it turns yellow and a bell that goes off when it turns red when you have to finish. So I'm not sure for me, especially for kids with autism and stuff like that, when they hear sounds like that, they get like a shock in their body. They feel stress and sometimes even fear that they're not finished, especially if they're kind of slow. How did you find it?
We also got to keep moving. We have about 7 minutes. But my only thought was it's a pretty simple system. It might be fun for younger students, but it's not really that applicable, maybe past the second grade. So, yeah, it seemed very simple, but I don't know how. it would definitely be fun to use like in a kindergarten class.
Yes. What I found really suitable for my daughter, because she's an Asperger's, and for all the kids in the classroom, they had in my daughter's school the time timer, which you could also download on your smartphone, and it's basically. Are you aware of the time timer? Do you know how it works?
No.
It looks like it's basically a red disc that's built into this clock, and you turn it with your finger, and you go to like 10 minutes or 45 minutes, and then 45 minutes for 3/4 of the. If you do 45 minutes, 3/4 of the screen or the face of the clock is red, and it slowly moves like this until the 45 minutes is finished.
I use that in my classroom with my autistic kid. So
that was amazing for us. So I loved it myself, but it really helps a kid feel time and learn to pace. It helps them learn to pace themselves.
Do you want to go over the Too Noisy Pro?
I didn't look at that. Can you tell me about it?
I can just give you a quick review on that.
Yeah.
The Too Noisy Pro, it's a sound meter, and it measures the sound in your room. So you could put it up on like your Promethean board or your projector, and then it automatically goes off when the levels are too high. So it gives the kids a pretty good awareness of classroom sounds.
Wow.
The disadvantage is $3.99 a month, but I think that could be really good for an elementary class, especially the lower classes, especially like kindergarten through second.
Yeah, I think it's worth the investment.
Yeah, the kids have a live gauge of, because it's amazing how quickly noise levels can go from silent to out of control. So then it puts less ownership on the teacher to let them know that they need to quiet down, but they have an actual visual of, it's time to quiet down. So it was a very helpful tool, and for $3.99 a month, it might be a good investment.
Okay, and where is this installed in the computer, or?
It's just an app. It's very easy. I'm sure you could just put it up, like if your computer's attached to your Promethean board. If you have that technology, you can.
If you have a smart board and everything,
if you have a smart board, you can put it right on the smart board.
So how does it? Is it visually? Can you see like a gauge going up and down, like
visual.
you do in some cities with the pollution level and all that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you want to go over the next app?
Yeah, I did the Super Duper Data Tracker.
Okay.
Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Okay, for me, it's a whole lot of. I think this thing would not be okay for a regular classroom. If you're a special education teacher, it would be very good for you, because you have for each student exact goals of where you want the student to go, and you keep exact tally of what they learned, what they answered, how they're doing, and you can put in anything you want, and then you have like 4 possibilities where you click on a circle that has like no answer or a prompted answer, or they had to think too long, or they knew it right away. So basically, after you've plugged in all the stuff, you can push on a button. Then you get like a tally sheet coming up where you see all you see curves and charts coming up how the child is doing. And in the end, you can sort of at the end of the month, you can just look at everything and see where the development's going. But it does take a lot of work to plug in every single little piece of information. So I think if you're a special ed teacher and you're taking out children who are working for like 1 hour on one particular, like math, if they have a problem in math and you're working with them on this, you can, while you're there, you can be plugging stuff in. The problem again is the child is watching you doing this. It's either that or you have to stay after the class, after the child is gone, and plug it in yourself, which is also a lot of extra work. I don't know if it's maybe easier to just flip a page in a book and say the child did this and this and this and this. Maybe it's easier. It's just not electronically filed in one area. And it's hard to then get the charts if you're doing all this by hand. So I think it's okay, but it just seems a lot of clicking around again.
Got it. So it might not be worth the time.
The
last 2 that I did were really simple. Instant Classroom, it basically just designs a seating chart for you. I couldn't find any reviews on it, but I think it just randomly puts in your names and designs a seating chart. And a lot of times we're trying to like pair stronger kids with kids that need more help, and there's certain kids that we don't want sitting. I mean, so I think it's best just to do your own seating chart. So I didn't see much value in that, just because the program doesn't understand your students like you do.
Right, but sometimes it's good to put a child who's really smart next to a kid who's has weaknesses, because my husband also said this when he was a child. For about a month, he was put next to the girl that was the best student in the class, and he started excelling. She was really nice, and she would look over to him, and if he didn't understand something, she would just say a couple of words to help him out. So, and he would see how her penmanship was so nice, so he would try to write nicer. He would take more time. He felt more confident, actually, because she was, of course, if it's not a nice kid, it's, but generally I do think that the kids who are better in school, they are more apt to help the other ones. They do want to help. They are more social in that way. Let me just tell you something about the teacher kit that I...
yeah, we got to start wrapping this up as well.
Okay, how much time do we still have? We have about 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, the only other one that I had was the best sand timer, and all it was just basically a kid-friendly alarm and a kid-friendly timer, so it was pretty easy to use, and it's also free, but beyond the benefits of, it's just a timer. So if you need a timer, it's a good timer. Because I really think that, like, the more you give kids actual times to work, they seem to be more structured, and when they can visually see what's going on.
Right.
So that was simple. Can you please go over the last one, and we should be able to wrap this up?
Okay, the teacher kit. What I really liked about this is that it's visually easy for the teacher to use, and she has like levels and classroom doors. So he or she will just, on the iPad, they just have to put their finger on the door and it opens up and there's your classroom. And you have all the pictures of the children and where they're sitting if you have a seating plan. Some people don't. Some teachers just have a room that's free and you can sit wherever you want, and whether it's on a couch or a floor, depending on the age level, obviously. But you can, if you have the seating plan, you can just put your finger on it and move it around. So if you're changing your classroom seating plan every month, you could just move them around really quickly. And as soon as you open up your attendance list, everyone's sitting in the right place, and you can see the faces right away, and you can see immediately who's missing. So you don't even have to call out names or check anything off. You just push on the name, who's not there, and it's done. So I found that very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we ready to wrap this up?
Oh, right. There was one more thing about the teacher kit. It has email. You can send email to the parents, which, as you mentioned, is good. Maybe easier to just write a simple email that the parents don't get overloaded. But it doesn't have all this huge exchange that Dojo has. Okay. I think that's all. I think we covered quite a bit of that.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you for your time. Good luck with the rest of your week.
Thank you. I have to run. I've got 12 singers waiting for me and an orchestra of 40.
All right.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Bye.
Bye.